Hello everybody, my name is Robin Link, and in this video I want to give you a quick introduction to the Unlimited Trees set volume 1 or whatever volume there will be after this one. So what is Unlimited Trees? Unlimited Trees is basically the construction plan to build trees. Well, that's cool. So you get the presets for the Sapling add-on, that's the Blender add-on that enables you to create trees. And with these add-ons you can create all kinds of different trees, and that's the idea, because normally you buy only a couple of trees for a lot of money and nobody wants to spend a lot of money for, well, trees. So instead of giving you just a couple of trees, I give you the ability to create as many trees as you want. You basically only have to change a few parameters and then you have all the trees you could ever need. So let's start with how to set Blender up so that you're ready to work with the Unlimited Tree set. So I'm here in Blender 2.76, and by pressing Ctrl-Alt-U I open the User Preferences menu. As I've mentioned before, we need the Sapling add-on. The Sapling add-on comes with the normal version of Blender, and you only have to go to the add-ons tab here, type in Sapling, and then we'll activate it. For this video I want to enable another add-on. It's called the Material Utils, and you'll see in a couple of seconds why this is awesome. So let's enable this one as well. You probably want to click Save User Settings so that every time you start up Blender you have the same add-ons enabled. Let's close this, and now you can press Shift A, and under Curve you now find Add Tree, and this is where all the magic happens. Well, this does not look very much like magic. It looks like black lines. I have another understanding of magic, but maybe you'll agree with me in a second. So here on the left side you find the options for the Add Tree. Yes. And as you can see we have 4 presets by default, and you can click on them and the black lines change. So if you disable limit import, you can load one of the presets here. They look quite okay, but they aren't really usable trees. So the idea is that I give you some more presets here that allow you to create photorealistic trees in an instant. So now you ask, how do I get the presets to show up there? That's not all that easy. I don't know, the developers didn't think much about giving you an easy function to put your presets or somebody else's presets into the presets that are already there, but there's a way to do this. So here on the right side you see the 4 presets of the Unlimited Trees volume 1, and we want these presets to be on the left side here in Blender so we can load them and so that we can use them. What you need to do is go to the installation folder of Blender, and this normally looks something like that. Here on top I have a folder called 2.76. That's the name, that's the version, and you want to choose the folder with the version of Blender you normally use. Then we want to go to Scripts, Add-on, and here we see Add Curve Sapling. We go into this folder And here we have the presets. I have a folder with some more presets here. I've put them in a folder so it looks as it does for you when you install or activate the Sapling add-on for the first time. And what you then need to do is to select all of these and copy them here. That's fine. And here back in Blender, I'm going to add another tree, and ta-da! Now you have all your presets loaded. I would recommend to uncheck limit import if you have it checked and then load some of the trees. You can see that only the basic trunk and some of the first level trees show. If you uncheck that, the whole tree loads with all the branches and all the leaves and all the other amazing stuff, although I have to admit there's not that much amazing stuff to a tree except that it's a tree. So I want to do I want to record how long it takes, so I have the screen keys here enabled. The first reason why I have these enabled is that you can see what I'm actually clicking. I think that's quite useful if you aren't that used to Blender. And the other reason is this elapsed time here, so I'm going to reset that. And now with limit import unchecked, I'll load one of the trees. Let's load a Devik tree. These are amazing. So I clicked on it at 11 seconds, so we need to subtract 11 seconds from the time that stands there here. So that took only about 10 seconds. That's quite fast. And as you can see, we have a pretty amazing tree. I choose one of these Devik trees here because I think they are really amazing. I don't know, I'm kind of affected to them. That's strange to admit, but hey, that's a cool tree. And I always have a scene with a park or a lawn or something like that, and one of these trees in the middle of it in my head. So I guess I'm going to create one of these one day. That wasn't all the amazing stuff about the unlimited trees. You can do some more stuff with that. So first of all, we only have one tree right now, and you probably wonder, how can I get more trees? So the idea is that we type in a random seed here, so you punch in any number you like, let your cat walk over your keyboard and create trees or whatever. Then we have to wait another 10 seconds and we have a new tree. As you can see, this tree looks different from the last one. It's a little bit, it's not as tall as the other one, and it's a little bit bent and everything. So every time you type in a new random seed here, the look of the tree changes a little bit, sometimes a lot bit, but you basically every time get nice trees, and that's the very idea of the unlimited trees set. Well, if you would render this right now, then this wouldn't be all too exciting. First of all, we have to enable a cycles render engine, and now we need some materials. So in this scene, if I select this one, go to the materials, I have only the default gray loaded. So I have to show you how to load the materials that come with the unlimited trees. So I show you how to load the materials, not the textures. So you can either choose link or append if you want to modify the textures, what will most of the time be the case. You click on append, and now you have to locate your download location, and then you can import the materials. So here's volume 1, and under models you find the tree library. That's a library with 4 already created trees with materials and textures of each species of tree that comes with the unlimited trees. volume, whatever you bought, and you can click on that one, and then you see the content of all of these. So click on material and it takes another second to load, and here you see the materials that come with the unlimited tree set. I'm going to select bark Devic and leaf Devic. Then you click append on library, and now I'm going to use the material utils add-on by pressing Ctrl Q, and I have the two materials here. I've selected the trunk here, so I need the bark material. I'm going to select this one, and I have the leaves material. Let's have a quick look at what the texture looks like. So with the Devic trees, the leaves are really small, but you can see that they look really strange. They're kind of cut in half and they are really stretched. So that's sadly a problem with the Sapling add-on. At least I couldn't figure out how to fix it directly when creating the trees. But you can go into edit mode, select all faces, and then we have the nice little reset button here. Now I have to choose a window where I can actually see what I'm doing. So what happens when you choose reset is that it takes every face that you have here and maps it to the whole image here. So I can show you the texture of the leaf, and maybe I hit the right button, so here leaf color, go out of edit mode, and here's the albedo, so the base color of the leaf, and every of these polygons here now has the whole leaf texture on it. So if I preview that, you can see we have leaves everywhere. There's one more problem, and that's the rotation of the mapping. So you select in the UV image editor all of your polygons and then rotate them by -90 degrees, and now they look awesome. Now you can see that the little wooden part, or whatever, the part of the leaf that connects to the branches, actually connects with the branch. So if we zoom out, we can see that we have an awesome tree here. So you can basically render this now, and yes, let's actually do this. I want to use an environment map. I don't have any loaded, so let's go to the textures, light probes, and I'm going to use the one that comes with the unlimited trees. It's one of the awesome HDRIs by Cracked Sal, and they result in really nice trees. So let's switch to GPU compute, that it's faster, and let's enable multiple important sampling. Let's turn this up and let's render it. And you can see it looks like a tree. And not that you should be surprised by that, that would be really strange. Let's hide the background. Okay, like is okay. Let's rotate a little bit. Trees are really heavy to render because you need a lot of bounces and so on. Okay, I don't have that many bounces right now. So you should in general increase the transparency bounces, and you probably want a lot of transmission bounces because light passes through the leaves, and by that you get this awesome tree look. And you can see it works quite well. It takes forever to render, but that's absolutely normal with trees. And I think this actually converges quite fast. So that's basically how you create really fast another tree. You can do this with the oaks, the linden, and the ash trees as well. So these are the trees for the first unlimited tree set that I'm recording this video for. So yes, was that everything I wanted to show you? Oh, I could show you the materials because they have some really cool properties. Let's go to another layer, and the point with that is that I can't hit my keyboard keys properly, so let's add a cube and let's copy this cube. I'm going to apply the bark material here. And what's a nice layout? I think let's use the compositing. So that's the shader for the bark, and let's render this one here. I'll quickly disable the time, that's uninteresting. And let's render this one. So a few things are quite cool about these, about the bark shader, and another thing is cool about all these shaders that come with unlimited trees. As you can see, I didn't unwrap this one. The shader does this automatically, so it's turned to generated, and I'm using box mapping to do all that. The only value you really have to worry about is the texture scale. You can scale the texture by changing this value. I think that's really self-explanatory. Then we have some color, some specular information, and a normal map. The really interesting part, yes, exactly, the really interesting part is this node here, and I called it the random object and texture color shift, and it basically does that. Let's turn the strength slider to 0, so this one now doesn't have an effect on the texture. As you can see, they all look really similar to each other. That's because they absolutely are. They use the same texture and the same lighting, and if you do a lot of copies of the same material, then it gets boring and it's not really realistic. So what this shader does is to apply a color shift between each object. So every cube will, so you can change that every cube will look a little bit different. That's what you do with the object settings here, and you can change the look of one cube, or yes, you can change the look of the texture on the cube itself by changing the texture values here. And you can control the strength of this change, and you can do some more things with that, but I want to show you how it works. So let's turn this a little bit over 100%, and you can see that this one is a little bit greener, this one is a little bit darker, this one is a little bit desaturated, this one is a little bit green yellow. So the settings, the object hue shift changes the difference between the hue between each object. So if you turn this up, the color of the different objects with the same shader will change more. I usually use a value around 0.5 works quite well. Then saturation does the same thing for saturation. So 0 saturation, 100% difference in saturation, and you can see this one is really saturated while this one is really desaturated. Let's turn this down to like 0.1 is really nice. You can change, I sometimes change this to 0.2, all these values work quite well. They are really dependent on the scene, so don't take this as you have to do it like that. You can use it however you like it, and I think I don't really need to tell you that. Then you can shift the value between the objects, so this one here is really dark while this one is really bright. So I think that's really cool because you can use the same shader and you don't have to put in any additional work, and it always looks a lot different. So it's like creating an extra shader for every object you create, but Blender does that automatically, and I think that's one of the really great things about the node system, and that you can use and create such, what are they called, node groups, yes. And then you can do the same thing on the texture itself. So this uses a noise texture, you can see it here, so this part is greener than this one. You can change the size of the noise texture, so if you increase it, the pattern is a lot smaller. This kind of looks like mouse, and that's already really cool. So let's work with 3.2. And then you can do the same thing as with the object hue shift, object saturation shift, and so on. You can turn this all the way up to 0.5. I limited these because I think normally you don't need values between like 0 and 10 for the hue shift. That would be absolutely nonsense. So yeah, like 0.5 to 0.1 works well for the hue. Then you can of course change the saturation shift as well, and you can make some parts really dark. So yes, that's kind of cool. Let's turn this down. I think that's really nice. Then you have a randomized strength slider. That's 0 means that it has no effect at all. 1 is the normal effect, and you can turn this up to a value of 2 in case you are happy with all the settings here but want to tweak the overall strength of the node group here a little bit. So let's turn this a little bit above 1. Then these 3 values here are identical to, where are they? The hue saturation value node. So these 3 here are the settings you already know from the hue saturation value node. And you have a strength slider for the HSV correction as well. And yes. Okay, so one more thing that maybe is interesting is how to use the trees that come with the unlimited trees in another scene that basically works like I've shown you with the materials. So you go to File, Append, and it automatically opens the tree library. And if you choose the group folder or whatever, then you see you have 4 direct trees, 4 linden, 4 oak, and if I didn't make an error here, you would see another 4 trees. I fixed that for the official release. Then you don't have to import the group, or append the group, not import. You can also import parts of the trees as well. So for example, if you have a winter scene and only want the branches, the wooden part of the tree, then you can, for example, import the trunk of the ash tree. Then you click on append. It works the same way with the groups. And this way you can quickly import the trees into every scene you have. One nice thing about importing the object is that you already have the shader on this model. So if I render this part here, then it already has a bark shader on it. And that's basically imported, render it, and it's ready to go. If you choose to purchase the Unlimited Trees Volume 1, Volume 2, I don't know how many volumes there are when you watch this, but if you choose to do that, then they will come with a couple of tutorials. I will teach you how to optimize the trees for, let's say, close-ups, because right now they are quite low poly, so at least the trunk here is quite low poly, and that's not always what you want. So if you render it from, let's say, this distance, then that looks perfectly fine, but you maybe want to tweak one or two things if you're actually going to use that in a finished scene when you see that from a little bit closer. I will teach you how to do a little bit more of detailing the scene, so I know a few cool things what to do with the leaves so they look even better. You have crazy high poly counts afterwards, but the tree will look even better. And if it's in the foreground, then that's, I think, then the additional polygons are a worthwhile investigation, not investigation. That's, I think, my keyword to end this tutorial. I'm through with everything I wanted to show you. If there's anything that you would like to know, you can always ask in the comments here on YouTube, or you can go to the page on Blender Market and ask your questions there. So you get the link to the Blender Market page in the video description, and I hope I'll see you there. Have a good day and goodbye, everyone.